Hey everyone, welcome here to our July homeschool update and actually the end of our fourth homeschool term for the year. If you're curious to know how it went for us, keep watching. I did not know if I was going to get to film this week. I had to film this week. I have stuff due, but you know, when you start the week and the week's like planned out to be pretty straightforward and then everything just piles on and I was like, wow, all my days are full. How am I going to get this done? But the Lord has just worked it out and here we are. It's Friday. We finished our term 4 of homeschool and I've been able to sit down to film a video. Plus the sun is shining, which it has not been all week. It has been very rainy and gloomy and just kind of depressing. And so I'm really, really grateful to see the sun, even though it's still freezing cold. But I want to just update you on how our homeschool term went. If you're new around here, my name's Christine, and I am a homeschooling mom of 3 kids. I live in New Zealand with my husband, and I love homeschooling. I've been doing it for 4 years now, and I was homeschooled myself for a good long time. So it's a space I'm very familiar with and I love, and I do not claim to be an expert in any of it, but I do love to share what I'm learning and just observations that I make and stuff like that. So if that's what you love, then go ahead and subscribe because I do share very consistently over here once a week. And today's video is more of like a personal life update and homeschool update, but I have more like curriculum reviews and things like that coming very soon. So let's start with July and what happened with July with our homeschooling. Honestly, it was pretty status quo. We have made some changes though, because we wrapped up some curriculum and began some new curriculum. And we also traveled. Well, when I say travel, it doesn't feel like we really traveled, but technically we did. We stayed with my parents, who live about an hour and a half away from us, on their little farm for 3 nights while my husband was away at a work conference in Australia. And I took our school with us. I didn't take a full workload of school. It was probably only about like a day and a half worth of homeschool, but I didn't want to like just not do school while we were there because we have other breaks scheduled in. July felt like a really long month, honestly, a really long month. It was midwinter here. I think that I'm not a winter girl. I can enjoy parts of it, but my soul slowly withers up over winter. And so it's just felt like a really long month. But we're at the end of it. We're in August and the spring bulbs are coming out and the cherry blossoms are starting to flower. And it's just, I can see the hope of warmth and spring and summer and all of that coming soon. So yeah, it just has felt like a long month. But as far as school went, I feel like we did pretty well. We were really consistent with our lessons. We actually had weeks where we could just school 4 days a week, and on Friday we were able to take the day off, whereas most of this year I feel like that was disrupted and we had to use our Friday in order to take another day off or something like that. My kids are doing well with their school. I am seeing progress. It's been really fun actually this year to see that my son is devouring books. Like I am just having to just constantly be on the lookout for new books for him because he's just really enjoying reading in his spare time now. He's read all of the Magic Treehouse books that we have at our house and he loves those, but he's also read other stuff as well. Like he's got other books. He's read the Magic School Bus books. What else has he got in his room that he was showing me the other day? I don't know. He's got quite a few and I've got a decent home library. So I've been like pulling books for him that I think he'll enjoy. Like I've got some of the I Survived series. He's just devouring it. And it's been really rewarding to see the fruit of my labor, you know, from all of the years of teaching him how to read. And now he has a very avid love of reading. And I just want to say, because I think that there's a big, like a guilt trip for homeschool moms sometimes, that if we are getting our kids to do things that they don't always enjoy, that we're going to kill their love of learning. And I think that there are cases where that may be true, but I also think that it has to be balanced. So not everything in life is going to be enjoyable, but there are some things that are necessary. and learning how to read is necessary, in my opinion. And there were definitely days where there were tears and frustration over learning how to read from both of us. And it was not always enjoyable. In fact, I would say the first few years were just really hard work. And it wasn't something my son would say that he enjoyed. It has not been until the last year and a half that my son has really developed a genuine love for books and reading. And it has teaching him how to read, despite it not always being enjoyable the whole way through, did not squash his love of learning or his love for books. So I just want to encourage you, if you have a child who is saying, I don't like reading, I don't enjoy this, don't feel like you're necessarily doing anything wrong or that you're going to mess the whole process up. Of course, there's balance to be had, but not all kids enjoy learning how to read because it's hard work at the beginning. It's every time they're having to look at a word, they're having to decode it, and it's a lot of brain work, and that's not enjoyable. Of course, a child is going to rather go and play instead of having to do that. So just don't feel too discouraged by that. Of course, there are lessons that I learned with my son that now I've implemented with my other kids, but each child is also unique. Each child has a different personality, and that I can see with all of my kids, and it influences the way that I teach them. So I just want to encourage you, if you have a kid who does not enjoy reading at the moment, don't despair. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be like that forever. Because if you had told me, a couple years ago that my son was going to be an avid reader and that he would love books and he would just stay up past his bedtime pretty consistently, hiding the fact that he's trying to finish off a chapter, I would never have believed you. But here we are. So I hope that's encouraging to you. But that's been really, really cool to see, especially over the last month. The longer evenings in the winter, it's definitely given him something to do with his time that is, not on a screen and more productive and things like that. So that's been really good. And he also switched over from third grade Math with Confidence to fourth grade. He wrapped up third grade and moved on to fourth grade. And I am going to do an in-depth review on all three of my kids' grade levels in individual videos coming up very soon, like a mid-year homeschool update, because I was like, you know what, I usually do this at the end of the year, but I think that because so many of you are starting school now, I think it will be helpful. And also, I forget things along the way. So it will be helpful for me to just sort of document it now while it's still fresh in my mind. So he switched over to that. He's doing well, still love Math with Confidence. He switched, and I did send this out to my email subscribers. So if you're not on that list and you'd like a little bit more behind the scenes from me, go ahead and sign up. I always have it linked down in the description below. Just send out a weekly catch-up email sharing with what we've been up to and more sort of real life up-to-date updates there. So you can check that out. But what I ended up doing for him was switching his handwriting curriculum. And the main reason was that I wanted his printing to be neater before we continued with cursive handwriting. But I will go more in depth on that when I do his video reviewing his school subjects. So that's really how he's doing and progressing, and fourth grade is going well. My middle daughter is in second grade, and she wrapped up a Becca first grade. We actually didn't completely finish that, and I will speak to that more in her video. Nothing wrong with the curriculum or anything, but it was not serving us by the end of it, and so I ended up stopping a little early. Her reading has progressed really well this year. She's reading pretty fluently now. It's just daily practice that she needs just to increase that fluency and ease of reading. But she's doing very, very well. And we switched to a totally different language arts curriculum, but it is very similar to Rebecca. So we actually have moved on to second grade English from BJU Press. And again, I'll speak more to that in her review and update video that I'm going to do. I knew I was going to do that a while ago. So I finally got it in my hands. It took a while to get here. And we've just started that. She's just done her first week of it, and it's going well. So I will talk more about that in depth in her video, and I will keep you guys all updated on how that's going and all of that. But I don't think I've changed anything for her. She finished her Sunlight grade 1 readers, and she's moved on to grade 2, and she's doing wonderfully with that. And then my youngest daughter, we're pretty much just trucking along with what she's been doing all year. So earlier in the year, I talked about how we've been switching back and forth between the Good and the Beautiful math and Math with Confidence. And we were doing Math with Confidence for a good long while now, and we've just switched back to the Good and the Beautiful for a bit. Part of it is because it's developmental, like she's just not getting certain concepts yet, and I don't want to just like keep doing it over and over again because it's just honestly quite boring for her, and she's not enjoying that. And in kindergarten, I just don't care about her like being like really disciplined with her school yet. I just want it to be enjoyable for her at this point, and for me, quite frankly. And so the Good and the Beautiful is not a bad curriculum. It still has great learning in it. And so she's kind of reviewing the concept she's already done in Math with Confidence now with the Good and the Beautiful, and she's having so much fun with it. She loves the games. She loves the illustrations in their workbook. And so that is what we're doing. And yeah, we're just going to play it by ear and keep going between the two and probably streamline things in first grade. But for now, that's working just fine for her. And I don't think anything else has changed for her. I've pretty much kept it like that for this term. So our group subjects are going well. I think I spoke in my last update and said we weren't doing morning virtues this term. And that was the right call to make at the time. But I am feeling like we could add something else in. We do have a little bit of spare time now. And I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do yet. I've considered doing the Burgess Book of Birds or whatever it's called. I've had that on my bookshelf for like a year, and I keep thinking, oh, this looks like it's going to be sweet. It's all North American birds, and I just don't know. Like, I want to see if I can incorporate New Zealand birds as well while we're doing it. I don't know. So I know Simply Charlotte Mason does a unit study on it, or like a science study on it. And I think it was called, what was it called? Simple Studies. I think it was Abby from Rooted and Rest was reviewing, like sharing her curriculum picks. And she talked about how they're doing, it was something else. It was a different one of Burgess' books. And she used a study from a different curriculum. My brain is so not working this morning. But she was using it from that curriculum. So I went and looked it up to see if they had one for the Burgess Book of Birds, and they did. And so I'm kind of like looking at the two. So I haven't made a decision yet, but I've been thinking about it, and it just kind of makes sense as we're walking into our spring and summertime to do more of like a nature study thing going forward. So yeah, I haven't decided. And everything else is just going as per usual. We've really enjoyed our Sunlight history readers. We just finished 20 and 10, which was a fantastic read aloud. That wasn't actually history. I think that was just a family read aloud, but just finished that. We did Mary on Horseback, which we all really enjoyed that. That's about a nurse who goes into the Appalachian Mountains and helps the people there, and she was incredible. So that was a really fun book and really interesting book. And we've just started The Good News Must Go Out. And what else are we reading now? The Family Under the Bridge, which I like immediately started like enjoying right from the start. So I never read that, and we're enjoying those books. So all the read alouds are great. Science is going well, like no complaints there. So we're just trucking along with that. It has been fun with the Bible because they read through the children's Bible, throughout the year. So we do the whole Bible. And then my daughter, who's doing their pre-K curriculum, is also reading through the Bible in a year. And then I, in my personal reading, have been reading the Bible through a year. And so we're all kind of like overlapping these stories. And that's been really fun for me and like just the, reinforcing of things and being like, oh yes, we just watched it with the kids. And then we just started watching The Chosen, which I had watched a little on my own, but I hadn't had my kids watch it. And I was like, you know what? I think this would be really good over the rest of winter for us to like sit down as a family and watch together. And so we've watched, I think, the first 4 episodes, and my kids have been loving it. Oh, they've just been enjoying it so much. And it's been really fun because they obviously recognize a lot of the stories and from, teaching at home and Sunday school. And so they've been like, is this happening now? Like, it's been really fun. And then yesterday was so cute. I was watching it with them in the evening, and it was the episode where Peter, Jesus meets Peter, and Peter's been out all night fishing and doesn't catch anything. And Jesus says, Peter, let down the net. And Peter listens and he goes to do it. And my son was like, is this the part where he catches all the fish? And then my youngest pipes up and she goes, oh no, I know what's going to happen. A big whale is going to just come and swallow him up. It was so cute. So yeah, that's been a really fun family activity, and just to see like all the different layers of learning coming together, and I'm seeing them connect the dots. So that's been really fun. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened in July as far as homeschooling goes. I will say life was a little tricky, more for me. I said this in my last update. I've struggled this year. I am still on the struggle bus. I've just had some health issues that are really abstract and difficult and very personal, and that has had a big impact on daily life this year. And so I'm hopeful. I'm supposed to be seeing someone at the end of this month, and I'm hopeful that, I don't know, it will give me some answers or direction or something because it has been a hard year, and it's been a hard season, probably the hardest season I would say since I was pregnant with my youngest child, who's almost 6 years old. And I'm not pregnant. It's like not that at all, but just like the being that worn down and just the mental health issues that I struggled with back then certainly have reared their ugly head again this year. And so I have personally been struggling a lot, and none of me wants to actually share any of that with you because it's very personal, and I feel very vulnerable sharing that stuff. Very used to being a very capable and competent person, and so when I'm not, it's just like, I don't know what to do with myself. And so I'm only sharing it because I want you to know that homeschooling is not perfect, and you will see a lot of homeschoolers online sharing these ideal schedules and daily rhythms and everything. But in reality, we all have things going on in the background that we're not necessarily sharing, not because we don't want to be transparent, but because there are some things that are just private and personal. And yeah, I'm just sharing because I want you to know that I do not have it all together, and nobody does. And you may see these, pictures of children quietly studying at a table, or, these beautiful curriculums and things like that. But what you don't see is the stressed out mother who perhaps lost her temper at her kids just before they sat down at the table, or the house that is a complete disaster except for the tiny little square that you're seeing in your social media feed. There is all of that going on in everybody's house, no matter what they say. And if you're just feeling like you're alone, I just want to encourage you, you're not, because we all have our own struggles, and we all have our things that we're going through. So just hear that and know that there is not a single perfect homeschool mother out there, and there are no perfect homeschool children either. We're all human and we all struggle, but that does not mean that it's still not a beautiful thing and that it's not something worth fighting for. So yeah, I share my struggles only to hopefully encourage you. And I am hopeful that things will start looking up. But nothing happens in a hurry. And if you think of me, I would appreciate any prayers that you have, because it's been a bit of a long and hard season. But not to end on a bad note, because it's not all bad by any means. There are so many things to be grateful for, and I'm very, very, very grateful for the homeschool community we have here now. It's just been such a blessing. We just had a bunch of them over to our house this last week, and there were just Nerf gun wars going on, and mums chatting and kids playing, and it just makes my heart so full and so happy, because that is how I grew up, and I have just the best memories, and that is what I want for my kids and for other people's kids as well. So I'm really grateful that the Lord gave us our home so that we could do that for people, that on rainy days we have the space to invite people and let the kids be wild and crazy and still be able to have a coherent conversation amongst the mums is a big deal. So lots and lots of blessings, and I'm grateful for this term and everything we've had, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the year. I'm excited for it. And we've got some home projects that we're starting. I'm actually today hoping to start on my youngest daughter's bedroom. So I'm not doing like a full renovation because one, do not have the capacity for that right now, but also just budget constraints. So I am painting her walls and putting some molding up to make it beautiful and just make it more personal to her. But I do have a long-term plan for her room that as we get the time and the money, I will carry out. So that I'm planning on starting today. I haven't done any renovations for a couple months, so I'm feeling like I really need to paint a wall. And so I'm going to start that. But also we are planning on doing a big renovation of our ensuite. Hopefully next month is the plan to start in spring. And our ensuite is the only room in a house really that is really bad. Like everywhere else has been tidied up over the years. We've got a brand new kitchen. Like it's really lovely. It's not all to my taste, but it's absolutely lovely and perfectly livable. But our ensuite is vile. It is basically an original condition to the 70s, and it is leaky and moldy and gross. And so thankfully we've got the funds to renovate that. We'll be doing just about everything ourselves, except for we're going to have a toilet installed. There's no toilet in our ensuite. It's kind of a weird layout, but there's space for one. So we're going to get a toilet installed and new shower, new vanity, but we'll be doing a lot of this stuff ourselves. So that's going to be a big job, but I'm looking forward to it. And it's going to be so dreamy once we have our little tiny box. It's not a big room, but it's plenty big enough for us. Once we've got that all done up, I'm going to be just like so excited. So all of that is to come. And of course, there'll be like gardening and stuff as the spring season kicks in. So lots of busyness coming up. So share with me how you're going. Have you started your school year? Because I know a lot of you are starting now. And if you are like me and you're looking toward the end of your school year, how is that going for you? Leave that all down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
What if the world had more of your smile? What if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach everyone? There'd be no wars,